Okay, this is a small tutorial on how I made all on my own. Now first, let's listen to the music.
All, all on my own, waiting you, seeing you fly. All, all on my own, loving you. All on my own, watching you dance through the night. All on my own, loving you. In the quiet, I hear your name, moving softly through the rain. Silver shadows cross your eyes. I stay still and let you shine. I wish you can see me where I stand, holding pieces in my hands. When you turn into the light, I keep falling through the night. All on my own, waiting you, seeing you fly. All on my own, loving you. All on my own, watching you dance through the night. All on my own, loving you.
Alright, now since we've listened to the music, let's take a look at how we made it. First of all, let's just kind of evaluate how the music sounds and all that. I don't think it's like Billboard material, obviously, but when I listen to it, it's pretty good. I think I can just sit through and listen to this music in a cafe or when I'm driving. I think it's not that bad. It's not corny. It's not cliche. And probably a little bit cliche, but it's overall it's kind of fine. So, how do we make this type of music, and what do we need to do in order to get this kind of quality of music? Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through the process of how I made it. It's actually pretty simple. So this is the voice recording that I had, and I basically built on top of that. So first of all, step one is you need to come up with your melody. You need to come up with your music. And in my head, it has been like a different vibe. It has been a different music. It has been a different sound that I heard inside my head. It was more of a down tempo, kind of an alternative pop, where it was like with bass and just vocals and with a chorus. Now, let's take a listen.
All, all on my own, waiting you, seeing you fly. All
And
on
then
my
so you can kind of
own.
see the vibes in there. Although the voices alone don't really show, you know, anything. And I think that's part of the points that I got to work on and that you guys have to work on too. For example, if you want your music to be much more specific and a lot more diverse and more detailed, you have to record those types of details as well using FL Studio, using all those things. But in order to get this type of quality music, a voice melody alone is quite enough. And then so what you do is I got that in here. And then what I do is I try to find these styles and the prompts, okay, for the lyrics and all that. But first of all, I want to get all the instrumentals out there. So basically, this is what happened.
All, all on my own, waiting you, seeing you fly. All on my own, loving you. All on my own, watching you dance through the night. All on my own, loving you.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. I kind of feel it. So, but it's a little bit muffled. It doesn't have a verse yet, and all of that. So, what happened? First of all, I'm just going to explain the chorus. What I would do is I would just kind of like mouth it in my melody. So we have a recording, we have a kind of like a, you know, what I hear in my head. And so what I would do is just go like, da 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 da, right? And there are these like beats. And then so what I would do is I would mouth them. Not necessarily the words themselves, but the phonetics of it. It was like, all on my own, yeah, da, 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 right? And so then I would just match the vowels with the context. And if you do that, it's quite easy to write the lyrics. And so you already wrote like what do you call this? There's a term in music, I forgot. And then, and then you just write it out, and then see if it makes sense. And that's how you do it. That's how you get the lyrics. But the most important part is to mouth it out. It's not to focus on the context itself. In order to get to this level, but not necessarily beyond, in order to get above and beyond this type of music, what I would probably try and do is not only just mouth the lyrics and write them, but also think about the story and the context before, and really think about what I exactly want with this music, and then not only write the lyrics, but really have fine-grained control over the sound for the exact feeling that I want in the music. But at this moment in time, in order to get this kind of quality, you don't have to do that. Although, yeah, it's not great, obviously, but you don't have to do that. What you're going to do is you're going to work with Suno. So Suno is going to give you like a lot of different proposals on different styles and different type of music. If you type in different style prompts, then Suno is going to give you different styles of music. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to Studio, you're going to pick the regions where you're really going to, where you think it's a great sound, and then you're going to kind of like Frankenstein it along the way. And once you Frankenstein it, then you can, drag it out, you remix it, you resample it, and go with the final style that you really want. So that's the overall process on how to use Suno and make, well, actually authentic music, because you mouth your own melodies. It's not directly from a prompt. You're basically fine tuning the instrumentals, and then you're doing this work of like re-editing, and then combining them together. And the goal should be to get as close as possible to the feeling that you want, the music that you hear in your head. And that's basically it. And that's how we go through a bunch of these sounds and iterations. Now I'm just going to give you the styles for this, and we're going to focus on how we do this. And so if you go into here, I have this guide that I researched on Reddit, and I just literally copied and pasted this. This is a tip and guide for Suno. And then what you do is I basically tell what I want for my music. I want this thing, I want to do this, just write it in detail. If it's hard to write in detail, you work with the voice. So you click this and then you talk the exact thing that you want for your music. For example, it's like a Sting Shape of My Heart style hand-picked acoustic guitar. So I want that slight echo, but not as much reverb. It should be deep, it should be warm, it should kind of like resonate in terms of the acoustics. Not necessarily too metallic. I want bass. I want like sub bass to really warm up the whole chorus section whenever the singer says all and all on my own. And you know, you do this and immediately it's a lot more details and a lot more context than typing all of these things out. One thing I kind of felt was that if you type things out in ChatGPT, you don't get a lot because you're trying to write things in a formal way. You're trying to remove a lot of information. You're trying to remove as much noise in the words as possible, and that leads to like you basically holding your punches back. And what's currently in ChatGPT right now is ChatGPT is smart enough to ignore the noise. So it's better now to just rant everything that you have in your head, and ChatGPT will just automatically figure something out. So you basically write everything down, it'll think, and then it's going to give you these prompts. And what you're going to do is you're not just going to move to a new chat. What you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste these prompts. You're going to put it into Suno. You're going to listen to these samples, and you're going to basically work with ChatGPT, to kind of like fine tune your style. So you say, okay, well, I have the bass is not hitting hard enough. I want that deeper thing. I want that rumble. I want that growling sound. This is for another type of music, but anyway. So then this guy would just give us like a better prompt that we can paste in Suno, and then you can request a lot of different things. For example, we could complete the lyrics. And then this would give it a verse, and then I would kind of like edit that once we have the verses and all that, and then I listen to it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, then I would just tweak the lyrics, and then basically you keep fine tuning with ChatGPT and Suno in order to really get that sound and tone done. Once you're almost done with that, well, don't forget to split the instruments, because it's great to stem the instrumentals and the vocals, and even stem different instruments. Because what's happening in Suno, at least in version 5.5 or version 5 at least, is that the instruments and the vocals should have like a different EQ. So I have like different EQs for the instruments and the vocals, and typically I would stem the instruments more for like bass and guitar and percussions and all that, because each of them have different EQs that I really want to tune. They all get muffled in many ways, and this is basically, I think, post-production. You're trying to make your sound a lot richer and all that. And so I do want to share some lessons that I've learned while making this specific song. Right now it's like very, very minor. Like I've worked on 5 or 6 songs, so like there's a lot more that I gotta do. But there are a few things that I want to share. For example, when I post my music on social media, initially in TikTok, like, typically people get like 700 views. And then, you know, as time passes, sometimes TikTok, basically gets you into that 150 view jail and all of that. And you initially get disappointed. I initially got disappointed because I thought my music is great, but apparently it's not. Um, and what happens is I tend to like try to find the music that people really like and try to like analyze it. But to be honest with you, that's a bad habit, and I think that would be like the thing that I would really stick to. Although it's a very hard thing to do because like you're basically making music, even as a hobby, to at least make other people enjoy your music and eventually be recognized later. And I think that's like a great way to extend the hobby or extend work. But if people don't like your music, then how can I improve upon my music, right? But at the same time, you really need to just trust your taste. And I think that's what I'm just going to keep doing. Um, the more I listen to like, what others did and like what I lack, I can kind of see that it's not necessarily about the melodies or the tunes that, that's not really coherent with what the mass audience would like. It's not about that. The melody itself, I think, would be fine. And I think it's like, for example, the things on All on My Own, this should be fine, I think. It's more about how more precise can you get the sound that you hear in your head into the recording. Right now, most of the songs I make is not necessarily, the thing that I hear in my head. It's not necessarily the feeling that I really want to convey. And I think that's a problem because music should be, or any form of art, should be more on specificity than accuracy. Accuracy meaning like, how do I please the people or how do I please my audience? Versus precision is, how do I please myself? So I have a vision in mind, I have something that I want to make, and I know the exact melodies and tunes and the overall sound that I really want my music to be. God knows why. I mean, it could be that it sounds good, it could be that I really want to kind of try this kind of feeling, I kind of like vibe with it. Then what I would like to do is just focus on that precision. How can I exactly make that type of tune? How can I exactly make that type of music that that I can really dance with it, that I can really vibe with it? And I think that's the way forward. I don't think listening to other people or basically relying on others' feedback is a good thing. And okay, and number two is like, although I'm making music as a hobby, but probably I would just put my 2 cents into it. Can music be a valid career? Well, obviously yes, but you know, I think we all need a job. We all need something else to kind of support music because I think what's happening is since we're always focusing on precision rather than accuracy, you never know when you're going to get famous. And logic there is no logic for yourself to be a lot more famous than you should be. Like there is no magic formula in music that makes you famous. So in reality, it's all about luck. Like, you just be consistent with your own craft, you kind of sharpen your own craft, and then all of a sudden, things just blow up just because God knows people actually like your music or something like that. But that journey doesn't really come with like rigorous analysis of what others might really like or something like that. I don't think that's the way to go. So, you know, I won't stress upon that. I won't stress upon it. I think just like sticking to a hobby is like a really good thing. If I get stressed with like put my trying to pay my rent with music, damn, that'll be painful because like it's just never gonna work. Like because if it was like a logic thing, like if it was like a, for example, like a software development kind of a task, or you're trying to make a state of the art algorithm, then yeah, there is a way. It's not about creativity at that point. It's all about like learning a lot more on like recent papers and then figuring out like how you're going to combine those knowledge into an innovation, perform rigorous testing and experimentation. And then that's something where like I know I it's guaranteed that given enough time, like for example 6 months, that I will create a state of the art algorithm because it's pure logic. It's like you're just trying to find truth, not necessarily trying to satisfy a subjective experience. But when it comes to music, you're trying to satisfy subjective experience. And so, how can you adapt to subjective experience? It's impossible to adapt to subjective experience. Um, so yeah, like just I like this music. I think I can do a little bit better, all because of precision. So, you know, hope this helps for, future music hobbyists like me, future music creators that are just starting out. I can't say anything about like people who have already dipped their hands deep enough in music because they'll know a lot much more than I do, obviously. But that's what I think. So hope this helped, and enjoy.